7th and 8th grade, it's Mr. Pedigo. Today is Thursday, April 16th. We're kind of ending the academic week here soon. That means that tomorrow, Friday, your article, your newsletter rather, and your outline are both going to be due at midnight. So the number one thing you need to be doing right now is making sure you're following the drafting process that I outlined in the Tuesday mini lecture on literature. Basically making sure that right now you should be in the editing, revising stage of your writing. I'm going to be grading these newsletters this week with a little bit more scrutiny because I really want to start seeing some improvement. And the only way I'm going to see improvement if you spend more time on it in a strategic way and allow me to help you out via Google Docs. So really make sure that your writing is the best it can be. One of the things I do when I was a student, I would read my writing out loud because it helped me make sure that I had a good flow, and it helped me identify any sort of issues with grammar, issues with spelling, etc. I'm going to read to you an article from last week's newsletter that I gave full credit, 100%, which is not very often I do that, because we always want to improve. No such thing as perfection. So let's talk about this. I'm going to read this out loud. We're going to be talking about what makes this article really good, okay? And that way you could read your articles out loud and say, did that make sense? And basically we're actively reading to evaluate the effectiveness of this article. So the Panama Canal. Here we go, opening paragraph. For many years, the United States stayed out of foreign affairs with countries in the Western Hemisphere. This all changed in 1904 with the construction of a 50-mile long canal. President Roosevelt wanted to create this canal to shorten the distance that ships would need to travel in order to trade and transport goods. It wasn't easy acquiring the land for this canal, but after a lot of negotiation with Panama, they agreed to lease the land to the United States. After about 10 years of hard work, this trade canal became what is today known as the Panama Canal. This first paragraph is very effective because it sums up what the Panama Canal is, what time frame we're looking at, and it basically lays the groundwork, sets the stage for the rest of this article, which I should mention that the article is titled Disease and Death in the Panama Canal. And so that's a really great opening, very informational opening paragraph. Like I said, it sets the groundwork, it sets the stage. Next paragraph. In modern times, the canal is used to quickly and easily transport commercial goods from the Atlantic to the Pacific Oceans. This is one of the most important canals in the world today because of its convenience. Although it's very useful, many lives were lost in the construction of this man-made waterway. Right there was an excellent transition. When we have a good transition, that means that we have good flow. This author goes from talking about what the Panama Canal is to the fact that many lives were lost in the construction. It was a deadly place to work. Good transition. It's a good flow. You wouldn't want to go, the Panama Canal is a canal between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, and then go, a lot of people died. It wouldn't have good flow. That was good flow though. Over 6,000 people died from diseases and from working accidents. The most common cause of death was malaria and yellow fever. These two diseases were carried by mosquitoes living in mud and in still waters. One symptom of the fever, jaundice, caused the infected person's skin and eyes to turn yellow. People were terrified of this illness, and many workers even quit their high-paying construction jobs to prevent themselves from contracting the disease. So that paragraph is very effective in providing specific reasons for why there was disease and death and during the construction of the Panama Canal. So you see the first paragraph set up the situation, and the second paragraph transitioned and then gave specifics as to how that disease and death looked. We learned something. Every single sentence in there, I would argue, is almost essential to the point of the paragraph. Last paragraph. The disease-carrying mosquitoes began to slow the amount of work being completed. Something needed to be done to prevent the disease. So Dr. William C. Gorgas came into play. He worked alongside doctors in Havana when the disease was an issue there, so he was experienced in the sanitation field. He helped to rid the area around the canal of yellow fever and also took measures to stop the mosquitoes from being around altogether. He's widely known today for his help during the construction of the Panama Canal. The people who helped connect the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean should be remembered for their bravery and dedication while building the world's most important waterway. That's a really nice conclusion. I like that the author was able to put a positive spin on kind of a heavy subject. I also like that that last paragraph kind of resolved. It tells us, first paragraph, what was the Panama Canal? Second paragraph, what happened there, specifically what kind of disease and death happened there. And then the third paragraph basically says this is how they solved the problem. And it also ends on a nice little positive spin. People who connected the Atlantic and Pacific should be remembered for their bravery and dedication while building the canal. Very effective. I would argue that every sentence and every paragraph in this had a distinct purpose. I like that it flowed from start to end. I like that when you're writing your own articles and when you're reading through, read out loud and check for that flow. That's excellent writing. That's writing with a purpose. That's writing that has gone through revisions and edits and accepted suggestions. So good luck, and I'll talk to you guys soon.